Hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. Oh my God, we made it, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday. Hopefully, you are playing a bunch of games and enjoying the H out of gaming because, quite frankly, there are a lot of games. And Cork and I were just talking in the green room, and I would say that, again, not real world problems, ladies and gentlemen, too many effing games. And you know what? Shame on me for even pointing that out. I should just, taking it all in. There's a lot of games. In fact, one released, and I didn't even realize it released, thanks to Dirk Griggity and Synth Potato. They talked about Dying Like the Beast. I just bought it. I just got out of the laboratory, and I cannot wait for this podcast to be done so I can go and play some games, damn it. Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with us here on a Friday. I believe we are waiting upon the arrival of Fuzzy Belvedere. And then, of course, then we'll have the full crew. I don't think Crispy is joining us today. I think he was working. But we do have two really ginormous topics to get into. They're a bit pointed, and they have been making the rounds on the socials, one of which is for what the title, PlayStation fans refusing to call the Xbox Ally S or X an Xbox handheld. I just think that it's weird. It's super weird energy, to be honest with you. And folks, we're going to get into why I think that's the dumbest thing. Look, I don't mind you having an opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But when you 10 toes down something and the information is there to kind of cut you down, I just think that people just sometimes need to bend the knee. But we'll get to that as well. As something that happened at the beginning of the week where Sony had changed some of the wording on what they're doing to better suit their brand moving forward or into the future. And there were a lot of PlayStation purists, and I'm being polite. I would dare say just PlayStation a-holes. You know who I'm talking about. That again were 10 toes down in suggesting that not only was Sony going away from putting games on Xbox like Spider-Man and others, they were going to completely do an about face on going to PC as well. Folks, I don't know if you've been keeping your scorecards up to date, but I'm sorry to say, if PlayStation had to depend on only PlayStation gamers buying their games, they would be a dead duck in the water. I'm sorry. That's just, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying all PlayStation players don't buy PlayStation games. That would be an untrue statement. But the diehards that we know that you see on social media talking about games that don't have their trophies publicly available for you to look at and see if they're even playing these games are the ones saying this. Not good. Not a good look for sure. But we're going to get into all of that. Fuzzy Belvedere, good morning, kind sir. We'll get to you in a hot second. Love the new setup. Love the setup as well. But hey, Korkenstein, welcome back, sir. Great to have you here. How you feeling?
Doing good, bud. Yeah, doing real good. Lots of news. I'm excited for TGS coming up next week.
Indeed,
should be some really cool stuff being announced. Yeah, man, I'm excited. Like you said, it's a great time to be a gamer. There's so many great things going on right now and to play.
Well, we're going to get into two big topics. Again, Fuzzy, I'm already working on Monday's show. It's going to be a banger, as Dirk Griggity likes to call it. But Silent Cypher, it's great to have you here. Your month is coming up. Horror month, October, Shocktober, as it will. And of course, I reminded you, just like Dirt and Synth Potato reminded me, that Dying Like the Beast released, and I just bought it. But I would imagine that's right up your alley. How you feeling?
Doing good. It's great to be with you guys again. And I do have to correct you. Shocktober started for me as soon as my son's birthday party was up in August. So we started moving the Halloween decorations out as soon as we could. So we got stuff up already. We've got Michael Myers sitting up there by the doorway, and just
so good, man. So good,
getting into the spirit of things. But no, things are good. I've been playing a bunch of Chronos, like we mentioned off air. And yeah, I totally forgot that Dying Light was even coming out this soon. So it looks like I've got some extra homework to maybe try and chug away at maybe this weekend if I get some free time.
Nice.
Besides that, man, I've just been doing a big deep dive on going back and watching a bunch of the Friday the 13th movies. I'm actually currently in the process right now of making a custom retro Jason costume for this year.
Oh, excellent, dude.
Yeah.
Now, mask or bag? You say retro.
I'm Ness.
I think he means the purple one, right? From the 80s game.
Yep. Yeah, it's the purple and seafoam. So I've got that one rocking.
Nice.
And we actually have like our Comic-Con version out here that's coming in, I think, next weekend. So I'll probably be wearing that bad boy out there just to see if I get some response on that one too. Should be fun. But always great to be with you guys.
Yeah, you know what, man? I haven't cosplayed in a long time. I did it. I've only done it once, and it was so much fun. I cosplayed as a Division agent, and I had everything. I mean, like I even got the Dark Zone pack that you wear underneath your pack, the yellow one. I got to cosplay again, bro. But you know what? I'm hoping for Division 3. Whenever Division 3 gets announced, I'm cosplaying that year as a division agent for sure. But good stuff as always, Silent Cypher. Great to have you back. And Fuzzy Belvedere, another big fan of horror. I wouldn't be surprised, like Silent Cypher, you already have decorations going. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Oh, feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys. We're actually, as the month goes on, we're actually doing some filming stuff. We won't be able to do a Fright Night episode tonight. We're going to be on the road finishing up Crimson Harvest, Crimson with a K. So we're going to wrap that up. And then we got some other stuff that my wife has got a few like extra roles or side roles and things like that we got to work on and stuff. But yeah, it's that season. I'm definitely biting at the bit to get Chronos. It's one of those that I definitely want to get, but I haven't picked up yet. As you can probably see in the background, what do you call it? Dying Light, the Beast is. I made sure I downloaded it because I got the Stay Human version of Dying Light 2, so I basically got it for free. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff between now and the Halloween day that looking to do. But man, it's such a great time to be a gamer, not just for horror games, but racing games. A little bit of everything in between. So I'm pumped. Oh, and TGS right around the corner. So yeah.
Yes.
This is like gamer Christmas almost.
Yeah, we're going to be getting into a lot of what's happening next Thursday. I'm trying to figure out the time schedule. Obviously, I think that the information coming out of TGS is going to be at 6 a.m. our time, which is a little that's a little early for me. So what I'm probably going to do on Thursday is some sort of a TGS post show. I may start that at 9. But again, folks, I'll give you guys the updates and see who wants to be a part of that as well. Of course, in the afternoon at 12, we're going to be doing the regular edition of the X Vlog Live. C-Money and I will be reacting to, of course, what happened. Thursday is going to be busy because it's not only my birthday, which is awesome, but it's also a lot of information popping out. And there was a story that came the way, and again, it's not today we're going to talk about this. We'll probably talk about it next week at some point, that the Xbox list has come out of what they're showing. Cloveril put this out, and it basically says there is an unannounced game from Xbox Games Studios, and we all kind of know that's probably Forza Horizon 6, but we will definitely see. But next week's going to be super busy. I'm very excited. But gentlemen, we got to get right into today's podcast. And I'm hoping we can get out of here in about 90 minutes. So I got some back end stuff to do before I get Mrs. Boom. But I kind of want to just bring Korkenstein in immediately and start talking about this PlayStation fans refusing to call the Xbox Ally S and X an Xbox handheld. Now, look, folks, I don't normally do the names thing, and I'm not trying to throw the guy under the bus, but a big deterrent on this being called an Xbox handheld has been D-Batch. And I know D for a long, long time. I've had conversations with him on RDX. when there was an RDX with Dealer and those guys. And this is no ill will, because I don't have any ill will towards D. He's kind of painted himself into the corner with the community, and he sometimes goes off the hinges for reasons unknown, folks. And again, I look, he should know better. He's a tech guy, folks. I'm here to tell you that not only do I disagree with D-Batch, and I'm not throwing a guy under the bus, want that to be clear, but he's wrong. He's wrong, and I'm going to break down the reasons why he's wrong, along with many others who refuse to call this thing an Xbox handheld. Yes, it is an OEM device. It is not made by Microsoft. No, it's not. It's made by Asus, right? We're all aware of that. But everything about this console and this handheld console is an Xbox. First and foremost, its form factor. It is shaped like an Xbox Series controller. It is not shaped like the original ROG Ally. I know, I have one. Okay? It is shaped like the controller. It is shaped like that because they want people who are familiar with Xbox to feel comfortable while using this thing in handheld mode. So that's checkpoint number one, as this is kind of an Xbox. But the other thing, and I think it's the most glaring of them all, is the fact that there's a freaking Xbox button on this thing. Like, I mean, listen, folks, I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but if it has an Xbox button, I kind of think it's an Xbox device. Okay, fine. You want to push back all you want. But this is where I think the rubber hits the road. It literally has Xbox in the name of the device itself. It is called the Xbox Ally, or the Xbox Ally X. Now, I'm calling it the S, and I think it's a missed opportunity to call the white one an S, just like the Xbox Series S, and the black one, like the Xbox Series X, but fine. Call it whatever you want. But the name Xbox is in the title. So one of the things I thought was, this is where that weird energy comes from, folks. So shout out to Nico Muller, I'm a big fan of the work this guy does on the socials. He's a fun guy. He talks about his family all the time. Talks about playing games with his family all the time. You got to love him for his passion in gaming, right? And this is where I have to say the weirdos of the internet have come for this thing. And again, I won't say names because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but this is some weirdo energy. So he put out a tweet, ladies and gentlemen, and I actually had to share this with the guys, but you got to read this for yourself. If I say this just without context, you're going to think I'm lying. Well, apparently, according to Nico, who posted this yesterday, haters are actually trying to community note Xbox by telling them that their own product is not what they're calling it. I mean, so someone or a group of someone's tried to community note Xbox when they were talking about the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X coming out next month. I'm sorry, Cork. That is some weirdo energy right there, bro. Like, I mean, what fight are you trying to win is beyond me. And you know what? Again, just one additional piece of context to make sure that I'm clear with, yes, this is an Xbox handheld. You've heard Jason Ronald and their team worked side by side to get the Xbox console experience on this in the software. I don't understand it, folks. An Xbox handheld is an Xbox handheld, but somehow it's not. Again, super weird energy, and that's the toxic behavior that unfortunately is what PlayStation is known for. PlayStation, unfortunately, on the socials is known for toxic-like behavior, and this is another perfect example of it. Let's get your thoughts on why the Xbox Ally S and X is an actual Xbox handheld.
Yeah, I mean, this just keeps going back, and even like I would say some of the games media is guilty of this, is not is not recognizing Xbox as a platform now. They're not solely just a console. They're not console only anymore. They're a platform. So that means they're mobile. That means they can be PC. That means they can even be on PlayStation. If you're playing something in, that is an Xbox first party game, or an Xbox device, you are playing on an Xbox. You are in the Xbox ecosystem. If you're buying microtransactions on Sea of Thieves on PlayStation, guess what? You are in the Xbox ecosystem. I think people are taking the word too literally when they think of playing on an Xbox. They're still going back to the console. And that's just not the case. It's not just only a console company anymore. They've repeatedly said this numerous time and time again. Their efforts have shown that they're moving, beyond multiplat, or I mean beyond, being exclusives and going into multiplat. I just don't get it, how it's so hard for people to understand and actually kind of comprehend what Xbox has been saying and what they've actually been doing. It's like, for people, it would be like saying, PSP isn't a PlayStation. Yeah, it is. It is a PlayStation device. It's just really weird energy that people are putting out. I get it. It's just, this is the last, I think, of the console warriors. They're a dying breed. I guess they're going extinct, because it's just, console warring doesn't do much anymore on Twitter and on YouTube. People want people that are know what they're talking about. They want to talk about gaming, and there is no console wars anymore. Once everything started going multiplat, even when Xbox went multiplat, even Xbox said, or even Phil Spencer said, the console wars are over. So I don't understand why people are continuing to keep pushing, this isn't an Xbox, or this isn't, playing playing your games on a different device. You're not playing in the Xbox ecosystem. It's like, yeah, you are. And it's just really, really weird energy. I just don't get it. How people can't comprehend what Xbox is doing, because guess what? PlayStation's going to be doing it. They're already starting to go that way. And I mean, you guys can kind of fight for your exclusivity and all of that stuff as much as you want. And it's not going to do much. It's not, the corporations, they don't care that you pledge your allegiance and, sacrificed your firstborn to your PlayStation console. They don't care. The money is where multi-platform is, and the money is where even Switch proved that handhelds can be viable. Like, the Switch was, I mean, it came out in a great time. Well, not great time. Great time for releasing, bad time for everybody, because of COVID and stuff like that. It had a big, close to there, and people were like, oh, I can portable game inside my house, or if I'm things like that. And it just, and even Japan is a huge big like mobile gaming and handheld market and stuff like that. So the next logical step is handhelds and people being able to take mini PCs with them. If that means like a mini Xbox, that's just what it is. Who really cares what it's called, or you're playing your Xbox games on an Xbox device, and that's all that matters.
I saw shout out to Ray in the chat. He says that a PlayStation, like like the Portal, plays all of their games. That's actually not true, and that thing is a brick. Unless if you have internet issues, let's say for instance you get bumped offline, and you're not home, that thing's a paperweight. Here's the difference between the ROG Ally Xbox, S and X. Here's the difference. We now know that you can play currently thousands of your Xbox games. We know that they're working on an emulation technique that's going to allow for you to play everything. Now, is that available yet? No. Has that been confirmed that they're working on it and that it is going to be available? The answer is yes. You can also play your Steam games. You can play your GOG games, good old games. You can also play everything from the Epic Game Store. So the fact that someone is going to try and use, a game from 2007, I can't play. you know what? Good on you. If that's the rhetoric that you're going to hold on to, the string is going to be very thin and it's going to snap. I have said this before. I think that Xbox is not 3 steps ahead of PlayStation. They're 10 steps ahead of PlayStation. Everything that PlayStation is doing now, Microsoft has done, Xbox has done already. Multiplat, they've done it. And we're going to get into that in the second half of the show, because that's the other conversation that we're going to have about the whole multiplat thing. I mean, folks, there are narratives out there that are so bizarre that I got to be honest, I don't get it. Again, that weirdo energy. But Silent Cypher, let's bring you in. Okay, this device that I believe to be an Xbox handheld for many reasons, many confirmed reasons. It has an Xbox button. It was co-developed by Xbox themselves. The actual form factor of the handheld is like an Xbox Series controller. It has an Xbox dedicated button. It has an Xbox dedicated UI where it's console-like. I don't know how much more you need other than the stamp on it, which I think is what people are waiting for it to say Microsoft, meaning that it was made in the factories of Microsoft. Well, folks, that's happening. It's going to happen in 2027. But right now, they're doing the OEM route, which I think is perfectly fine. When you see the packaging of this thing, it's going to have Xbox branding all over it. But somehow, some way, Silent Cypher, these weirdos think that it's not an Xbox. And I'm sorry, man. I mean, I don't know how much more you need, but you're ice skating uphill. And we know what happens when you do that, right? Just ask Blade. He'll tell you. Let's get your thoughts on this, Silent Cypher.
Well, I do want to start off going back to something you touched on real quick, because
Sure.
you are a nicer person than I am. I will throw some names out in the street, and I will.
By all means, go ahead.
D-Batch is a tech guy about as much as I'm a Nintendo fan.
Oh boy. Okay.
So we'll start it there. For folks in the chat, I think you have an idea what that means. His ranting and ravings are that of a dude who can't accept being wrong. Probably someone that just needs to step away from social media for a little bit. Maybe go play a game, take a nap, something beneficial. But that aside, on the topic of the Ally X being an Xbox, it literally has an Xbox button on it. Like, if that doesn't trigger something in one of these people's minds, they're like, oh, maybe this aligns with an Xbox, I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty straightforward. Also, is it Microsoft that's promoting this thing really heavily as an Xbox? Is it them that are supporting this? Is it ROG Ally that's coming out being like, hey, this is an Xbox? If these people are not willing to listen to what's being told to them about this system, or they're just too focused on the engagement by saying it's not an Xbox, because if they do that, they get a bunch of engagement and they get to keep grifting and farming like they do, that's on them. But the system's coming out, and I think ultimately what this system does is offends them the most, is that this thing allows you the access to your Steam games, to your EA games, all these launchers. Guess what it also allows you access to? PlayStation games that you can play on Steam.
Yes.
And so these fanboys are having a hard time with the fact that we can play your PlayStation games on an Xbox console. Isn't that the damnedest of things right there? The fact that we can play your games on an Xbox console, and it eats away at them and aggravates them to no end, because it's got that little Xbox logo on it, and so it offends them to their core. It's just like when Helldivers came in. Surprise, Helldivers, a multiplayer game, performed better on Xbox, a multiplayer focused system, than it did on PlayStation. Why? Because people on PlayStation, we already know most of them don't play games in general, except for Sad Dad Sims. And that's fine if that's what you want. But we know that Xbox plays multiplayer games. So when Helldivers came out and it did better, that's not shocking. That's reality. I don't care how many millions of units you've sold as far as consoles go. If that's not your audience, it's not going to sell. We saw what happened to Concord, right? Concord was a pile. And granted, function or any of that aside, it's a multiplayer game. PlayStation gamers don't play those in the same way that Xbox gamers do. It's just what it is. But again, I think the fact that this has anything marked with Xbox on it upsets them to their core, because they can't stand the idea that more of their precious games are able to be played on a system that could be considered an Xbox. It's sad, but you love to see it. You love to see the irony. I love to see those sweet pony tears every time I jump on social media and see the screenshots, of which plenty of people, Dirt, Sean, yourself, a bunch of people have the receipts on how much you are pissing and moaning in the streets about this thing not being an Xbox, when deep down you just don't want it to be played on an Xbox, because now I can play Spider-Man on an Xbox console. Sucks for you.
You know what's interesting? You brought up a great point, and I actually don't even have this in my notes. And I think you're onto something. And I want you to take a few more minutes to elaborate. You see, I have said, and I've been lambasted for it. You remember when I reported Helldivers 2 was coming, and people did videos and took screenshots, and they pointed and laughed? Spider-Man's on the way, folks. I'm sorry to tell you, it's happening. And all of the apologies I got and the flowers I expected, well, they never came. And I would imagine that when Spider-Man is eventually announced, and it will be announced, that's going to happen again. And that's fine. I don't actually need anyone's apologies, because they're all full of shit anyway. So it's fine. But I think the most hilarious thing about Xbox saying, hey, you know what? We're going to do something that no one's ever done before and give an open platform to our next console. But you know what? We're going to start with a handheld. And they have our OEM device, a partnered device, partnered meaning partners, ladies and gentlemen. And I think the hilarious part about this is that whether Sony wants it or they don't, the fact that this is going to have access to Steam, and Steam has access to PlayStation games, that means that PlayStation gamers are going to have to see their precious exclusives that they hold so tight to the vest being played on an Xbox handheld. And I think ultimately what you said is the actual triggering point for a lot of these gamers. Please continue, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like you said, whether Spider-Man comes or not, it's already there. Once this happens, I get to play your game on my Xbox. And whether that triggers you, whether it upsets you, whatever, I don't care. Because guess what? I will play games where I want to play games, where I can play games. I'm not going to sit in your walled garden anymore and pay them $600 or $700 or $800 for that ridiculous system, which doesn't fit on an entertainment system and still has never been modified to look good. Thing is the ugliest console that's come out in the past few years. And that's saying something when the Xbox One was literally just a DVR machine. Okay. So it's fine. Like if it upsets you that they're coming over to that system, then there's a solution. Don't let it bother you, the fact that other people can play games. Get over it. You praise Spider-Man, Last of Us, all these games to be so big, so important to the media and to this medium. Why are you so upset that people can play them now? Get over it. Like, just go play the games. Maybe get away from social media for a minute. Go play the games. Enjoy them for a while instead of warring so you can get engagement and you can get $1 or $2 back from Twitter or whatever every now and then because you trigger a fanboy. Like, get over it. Just go play a game. If it upsets you that it's got an Xbox logo on it, I have news for you. Microsoft is not stopping anytime soon. They have proven and they have shown that they are going to continue this. What are we seeing? We're seeing more access to our games across the board. We're seeing it so you can access it all over the place. What did we just see? The fact that the new Windows release allows you to access the Xbox UI, this new experience, so you can do this on any of the systems that are already out if you're in the Insider program. What is this telling you? This opportunity to play these games everywhere you want on a system that loads up as an Xbox interface or just as a mobile system allows you to play all of your games from PC, EA, like from Steam, all these different launchers. It's going to continue. And a lot of people are going to get really upset. And I wish they could just go play some games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing a lot of games. As a matter of fact, I'm playing too many games. That's my ultimate problem. There are a lot of games, especially if you support multiple consoles. Yeah, I'm having a blast. I just thought that this was an amazing topic to have because as close as even yesterday, people are just in these streets making fools of themselves, and they've latched onto this. This is not an Xbox because, and we've already destroyed all the narratives. But I want to get your thoughts on this. And again, you are a tech guy, so from the back end of this thing, it has Xbox DNA, meaning that it was built from the ground up by people at Xbox in conjunction with people at ASUS. And like I said, I mean, if somebody wanted to come out and say, well, it's just another, shell that, looks like a ROG, but it's not. It's literally designed to be held in the hand of a gamer who is familiar with the Xbox Series controller.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, obviously, 1-to-1. The Xbox button on the thing, it's vastly different than what the regular ROG Ally or the Ally X looks like because it has an Xbox button on it. And even more so, the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X, those are the names of the PC-centric device. This is the Xbox Ally S and X. As a matter of fact, even in some of the marketing, they leave out ROG. They simply just call it an Xbox, and this is Xbox calling it an Xbox. This isn't some third party that made a mistake. These are facts. Why are we even having this conversation? Because people are embarrassing themselves on social media. Let's get your thoughts, man.
It's funny to me. There's a lot of misinformation as far as what this thing can and cannot do. A lot of people like comparing it to the Portal. Everything that the Portal can do, this can do. If you want, you can play the console games in the cloud because any of the cloud streaming is the console hardware. It is Series X and S hardware in the cloud. So if you want to play the console versions and it's, on Game Pass, you can do that via streaming, just like a Portal. You can also tap into your console that's at home. Whether you have a Series X, a Series S, you can flip down from the cloud streaming to remote play. That's a feature that this will be able to do. And you can already do this on any PC that has Windows and the Xbox app. So once again, this can do the same thing your PC can do today, because even the Xbox app today has access to Steam, GOG, EA Play, Ubisoft, any of the other stores. If the software is installed on your system, it will be able to recognize those games that are installed and automatically put it in an aggregated column of your listed games. Now, the artwork might be a little mismatch in comparison, but it can already do that. And that's the same thing that this Xbox Ally can do. So if you want to stream from your console remotely, you can do that. You can play stuff on the cloud. If you have a Game Pass Ultimate subscription, you can do that. The only thing it can't do today is play those console games natively. It can only play the PC versions natively. And that's fine. Because here's the thing that's great about the way Xbox has made that dual entitlement and play anywhere, stuff that people say, oh, it's just, marketing speak and whatnot. Your saves for games like Starfield, Hollow Knight, I mean, just about any game that's come out in the past 2 years, it is a play anywhere title. And even some that are older than that. I think one exception that I've encountered has been Fallout, and I think they're in the process of fixing that, or Fallout 4, I should say, but that's a 2015 game. Your saves from your console will carry over to the PC version that's on this handheld. So it won't be you won't skip a beat. If you remember being on said planet with a certain laser gun in Starfield, when you pick this up and sync it to your same user or gamer tag account, you'll be on that same planet on this device. So in the sense of it not being an Xbox, okay, semantics, whatever. It has an Xbox button. It has Xbox in the name. That's good enough for me. If that's not good enough for you because it can't play console games natively, I hear you. But I'm not really going to pay that much attention to you beyond it because I'd rather just play the games on the device. The big thing now is that Microsoft is moving to a point where if you want to play the games on your phone, you can. And several different ways, whether you're from even your phone calling back to your console or calling back to the cloud as far as any of the Xbox streaming stuff. But when it comes to native games, it's going to play the PC ones. Now, I'm under the impression that at some point, a lot more third parties will be on board with this play anywhere. Some of them aren't. I can guarantee you Rockstar is going to be the last one, or Take-Two in general, because they're going to be kicking and screaming. But one thing that Take-Two is doing is having it where you can stream your owned games. So if you can stream your owned games and it's a cross save or cross progression type of game, then if you've played it on console before, you can pick up where you left off on this handheld. Or if you decide to play on a PC, you can pick up where you left off there. I don't know. If you want to wait for an officially made Xbox handheld, I hear you. You might be waiting a couple of years. I'm of the nature of where I have a Steam Deck now, and the biggest thing that I've learned from that is that playing those games in a handheld mode, and even hooking it up to the dock and playing it on my computer monitor and such, is a nice freeing thing. Like you don't have to have I'm doing it now until I either replace my Steam Deck with a Xbox Ally X, but I don't have to. I won't have to in the future take my Series S with me because a lot of the games I'm playing on that Series S, like The Division, like Diablo, like Starfield, like Hollow Knight, now I can play on that handheld device. But right now, I'm taking my Steam, my Series S and my Steam Deck whenever I go on the road for some of these movie filmings and things like that. So it's an Xbox. It may not be an Xbox in the truest sense where you can't play your original 360 games or Xbox games, but if you already own those games, you more than likely can by either calling back to your console or playing from the cloud. So it may require that you sign up for Game Pass Ultimate. But all in all, I think that's going to be the way things start moving, where you'll start to see by next generation that more and more games are going to be play anywhere. Like I've mentioned to some people in the chat, I have 900 games right now. Of those, I would say about 315 or so are play anywhere and are playable on this device from day one. And I would say with the exception of, like I said, Fallout 4, pretty much all of them are cross-save, cross-progression. So whatever I did on my console picks up where I left off. And it's funny because if you do mods on PC, some of that stuff automatically carries over back to console. Not if you're doing the online stuff, but like if you're doing something like in Starfield, some of the mods that I've implemented show up on the console. So it's this argument of it not being an Xbox is the silliest thing ever. I get it. Like Silent Cypher said, maybe it's because the PlayStation games are going to be playable. If that's the last thread that you're holding on to of why this can't possibly be an Xbox because PlayStation would block that, you're living in the past at this point. And I know we're going to have a conversation about some recent wording changes that people are reading way too much into. But I'll give my 2 cents on that later. But this is an Xbox, just not an Xbox console per se, but it plays console stuff by streaming. It plays console stuff by calling back to your console, just like the PS Portal. And people want to still refer to that as a PlayStation because it plays PlayStation games. Well, this can do Xbox games the same damn way. Excuse my language, but
it also can do PlayStation games. So there's that too.
The only games it can't play right now are Nintendo games, unless you want to go the pirate route. But I didn't say that out loud because I don't want their ninja lawyers breaking through the window or anything like that. But all in all, this thing has a lot more freedom to play a lot more games than just being locked behind a console in general. So get used to it. It's the way of the future.
Yeah, and whether it takes 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, Sony is going to do the same thing at some point because they do what they've always done, and that is copy Xbox. And that is something I could actually see them doing. And, we're going to get into the second story of something that they've already copied Xbox and doing, and that's going multi-platform, though due to some word changes, more embarrassments live on social media. But we'll get to that in a second. I do want to catch up on super chats here. We have a bunch of them. So the first one of the day comes the way of Why So Serious. He drops, ladies and gentlemen, a very generous $2 super chat. He goes on to say, Dreamcast guy is also a horror fan. I did not know that. I don't watch his stuff. Yep, I'm not a grifter content pursuer, to be honest with you. I don't like the grifting community at all because they say what they only say what they want you what they think they want you to hear. I ain't about that life. But thank you so much for the generosity as always, and thank you for being here. Why So Serious? Music 72 in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, stop trying to make Ally S happen. It's not going to happen. LOL, Mean Girls. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's a missed opportunity, brother. I'm going to be honest with you. Just from the marketing standpoint, it should have been called the S version because it is literally the S version of the handheld pair. But, listen, I'm going to keep calling it an S. Maybe it'll stick. I think a lot of people are actually calling it the S, to be honest with you. Again, missed opportunity for both Asus and Microsoft. But listen, based on what you've already heard Fuzzy talk about with the S version of the Xbox Ally handheld, it is a pretty powerful console. And don't be afraid of that $549 price. You're getting a lot for your money. And again, that's not coming from me. That's literally coming from Fuzzy and many of the people like Kayasante, who is a big tech bro. That guy knows his stuff, and he is Mr. Handheld. And every time we've talked about it, they really do rave about what you are getting. Now, obviously, it's not going to have all of the bells and whistles of the $900 big boy, but you're getting your money's worth. I'll put it to you that way. But thanks so much for the generosity as always. Appreciate you being here, music. We have Mac22 in the chat dropping a very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, morning, Cork, Fuzzy, Cypher, and the big stick himself, Mr. Boom. Thank you so much for that, brother. He says, and to all, thank God it's Friday. Hashtag gray beards. Indeed, yes. Thank goodness it's Friday. And I'm very happy to get here. And I know my Mrs. Boom is happy to get here because it's been a long week for her. But J-Mac in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. J-Mac goes on to say, D-Bitch is a true clown. His integrity is poo. After the PlayStation Pro debacle, he should say nothing.
The tools, man. The tools. You gotta use the tools, man.
Do you know who does him to the point where I actually thought he was talking? Dirt Briggity
does. Yeah.
Let me just say this. I try to listen to people's podcasts, and some people I can while I'm working out, right? Like if I'm on like if I'm on the elliptical and I'm doing my 5 miles, it's a long ass 5 miles. So I figure I got to get something to entertain me, right? And every freaking time I try to either use one of Dirt's 2 podcasts that I love, and that one of which is the WBG, or the One Man Dark Man, I can't even get to 5 minutes. And that happened on Monday when I was listening to the weeks before One Man Dark Man, and today I was listening to it, and I'm like, I am just laughing. He does the D-batch. He's 1-to-1, and it's not even how he says it; it's what he says. Like, no, I can't repeat it. I just want to say I love what he does. But that's good stuff, brother. But yeah, you're not Silent Cypher. Don't sell yourself short. You sounded close, because that's exactly how he sounds. Yeah. So again, J Mac, thanks so much for the generosity, brother. Super appreciate you being here as always. And Frederick Williams drops a very generous $5 super chat. Frederick goes on to say, it's not an Xbox Series 360 or One, but it is a new Xbox console, an Xbox PC handheld. Yeah, indeed. I mean, again, I know some people in the chat, like, why do you care about what people say on the internet? It's not that I personally care. I just think that this has, and I actually wrote to them, this particular topic has captivated the gaming audience, and I think it was worth a conversation, because this conversation is literally raging on as we speak, and I like to keep my hands on the pulse of the community, and I think a lot of people in the chat really appreciated this, because I mean, not that what I said here or anybody on the panel said here is a definitive stake in the ground. Some people are going to think what they want, but I do think that it is worthy of a conversation. And speaking of conversations, gentlemen, we got to get into the next one. Now, this one is, again, a little bit of that weirdo type of energy. And I say all of that to say is, in July, we learned that Sony had posted a job listing for a senior director of multi-platform, right? Explicitly seeking a leader in this field to manage its commercial strategy for releasing titles on other platforms, including, this was the wording, folks, Xbox, Steam, and Nintendo. But, Cork, we had a changing of some of the wording for PlayStation, and according to the report that I have in front of me, it was a Screen Rant article that posted the headline suggesting Sony's latest business update would shut down hopes for more PlayStation games on Xbox. Well, the one thing I do have in front of me, and this is an AI answered overview in not only Google but Grok as well. And again, folks, this is facts. Helldivers 2 has come out, like Silent Cypher said, and yes, the ultimate sales right now are favoring PlayStation because they had a year jump on it releasing on Xbox. I think the number has ballooned to over 5 million copies sold on PlayStation 5. That's pretty big. 5 million copies of anything is a big deal. So a lot of people on PlayStation are enjoying Helldivers. Now, they're going to get some pushback by some people that are going to be like, well, wait a second, Boom. 5 million copies sold versus 80 million consoles out in the wild, shipped or purchased, whichever, flavor of the day people are going to use. And I could see people talking about that because, again, that's a lot of consoles versus the 5 million, but 5 million is a very strong number. But what we did learn is that in the same time frame of release on PlayStation 5 versus the release on Xbox Series consoles, the number at the time was over 900,000, nearly a million, versus the 603,000 on PlayStation 5. So ultimately, in that time frame of release within the first week, Xbox has done 1/3 better. Now, I don't have any additional new numbers, whether it's gotten to 2 million, 3 million, 10 million, but I know that it's doing very well for Sony. Sony owns the IP of Helldivers. And I know a lot of people try to equate that the additive or the addition of the ODST was the only reason why it did well on all platforms. It's folks. Yeah, I'm sure that helped, but Helldivers in itself, even without ODST, is a freaking amazing game. So people bought it on Xbox, and people continue to buy on Xbox. I think it's safe to say you don't have to be a business genius or wizard or even have a doctrine in Business 101. You can say, well, they put a game on Xbox. Xbox players supported it better than they did in the same time frame than PlayStation, and it continues to do well for them, i.e., make money. Well, there has been a big push to suggest by plenty of the PlayStation mains, and I would even dare say the toxic assholes of the games community, who almost in unison put out a blurb, one paragraph of what Sony said in this recent business update. Interestingly enough, and not surprising to be quite honest with you, Korkenstein, they left out the bottom part of that article or that blurb where it does say that they are going to continue to put games on platforms that make sense, meaning that they're going to continue to put games on Xbox that will make them money. But according to the overview that I have in front of me, reports and speculation about PlayStation's ending its multi-platform business appear to be based on a misunderstanding of Sony's recent business updates. In reality, according to the document I have in front of me, the company is continuing and even expanding its strategy of releasing games on multi-platforms with a special focus on PC. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The rumor versus reality. The mistaken rumor on September 16th of 2025, Screen Rant published an article with a headline suggesting that Sony's latest business update would shut down hopes for more PlayStation games on Xbox. The article in question misinterpreted a change in Sony's revenue report, where game revenue beyond console was moved to a different financial segment as a move away from the multi-platform releases. This is where it gets even more interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm reading verbatim. I'm not adding any of my own words here. The factual update. The change in accounting for revenue does not signal an end to PlayStation's multi-platform strategy. Multiple other reports and evidence contradicted this interpretation, including, and here are the bullet points, folks. Continued PC releases. PlayStation has been releasing its first-party games on PC for years and has even acquired a studio, Nixxes, to handle these ports. Expansion to other consoles. In August of 2025, PlayStation surprised many by releasing Helldivers 2 on Xbox, demonstrating its openness to expanding onto other consoles and other platforms. The success of this move has been interpreted as a positive sign for the viability of this strategy. And of course, going right back to what they did in July, I'll read it verbatim once again. Targeted hiring. In July of 2025, Sony posted a job listing for a senior director of multi-platform, explicitly seeking a leader to manage its commercial strategy in releasing titles on other platforms, including Xbox, Steam, and Nintendo. I mean, look, folks, I don't know how more clear you need to hear the words coming out of my mouth, but that is an actual document that I will add to the show notes. So if you want to read it yourself, by all means. Some of the victory laps that have gone on are to the point where I am embarrassed, literally embarrassed for some of these content creators. And again, this is one of those instances where I am not going to do the names thing because I don't need to. I don't ever want to go out of my way as a content creator, a leader in this community, and and try to embarrass someone to get subs, likes, or my point across. My point is clear. Xbox went multi-platform, and one of the biggest stories of 2025 so far, gentlemen and chat, has been a 4-year-old racer is literally the best-selling game on the PlayStation 5 this year. I mean, now, if you're Sony, if you're Hiroki Totoki, if you're Noshino, and you're looking at this, you're saying, wait a second, they're making money hand over fist. Yes, they're getting 30%. Absolutely. On every sale, whether it be DLC or the game itself, Sony's making 30%. 30% is a lot of money. But the truth of the matter is that the same way that they're making money at 30%, I'm sure Sony is like, well, wait a second. We'd like to make some more money. We have all of these IPs. They're sitting on digital servers like Spider-Man. Sony does not own Spider-Man. They own the film rights. They don't own the video game rights. And we do know that Disney themselves has upped the ante on how much they get of their take, right? So if they are getting more, Sony is going to have to pay more to put out more Marvel games. And we know next year, the rumor is Wolverine is going to be releasing. The following year is going to be expected to be the Venom game, which they're working on right now. That is going to be the Lethal Protector, which I cannot wait to play. And then after that, you would imagine Spider-Man 3, and there's even X-Men they're going to be working with. So they're going to be making a lot of these Marvel-based games. They're going to be spending a lot of money to make these games, and they're going to want to make a lot of money. But I'll tell you one thing, it can't be just from PlayStation players. And the perfect example of that, Cork, is, and I go right back to this, folks, numbers are the numbers. Helldivers 2 outsold Spider-Man 2. Okay? One cost $315 million to make. One cost $100 million to make. I don't know. I mean, you find folks do the math. But, Cork, let's get your thoughts on the misrepresentation by many of the PlayStation's nations, content creators, on how Sony was not only going to reverse engines for putting games on Xbox, but stop putting games onto PC. Just foolhardy stuff. Let's get your thoughts, man.
Yeah, it's just to save face. I mean, these guys, they'll do anything to save face at this point. From looking stupid. And, a lot of them knowingly did it to, because they rather value engagement than actually talking about games or even playing games for that matter. Yeah, it's absolutely silly. This was a no-brainer. PlayStation started seeing the revenue and the MAUs skyrocket for Xbox when Sea of Thieves hit their platform. There is no way PlayStation wasn't going to be like, wow, Xbox is really making a lot of money on our platform. Yeah, too bad we care more about a plastic box than money, right, guys? And we're not going to do this. How does that make any sense? They saw like so much, and we even saw in their last financials, their quarterlies, I think a month or two ago, that mentioned sales from third-party games and things like that was significant for them. That was what really boosted a lot of their revenue, was this multi-platform third-party content, and that was just with them getting a 30% cut, from selling, or from getting Xbox games put on their platform. Imagine what they're going to be getting with 70% now, or 80%, depending on the deals. Even 60% is a great number. I doubt it's going to be that far, but yeah, there's absolutely no way that Sony can't be looking, especially at the success of Helldivers, that they're not going to be bringing this over, or at least more games. You don't create, or I mean, not create, but you don't restaff a $300,000 a year position if you weren't going to do multiplat. You don't put in that position's job posting Xbox and Steam and Epic Game Store if you weren't going to bring games to those platforms still. For these guys thinking it's just going to be a one and done. No, it's more than likely probably going to be most, I'm not going to say whole slate, but most of it. Anything that has a casual consumer, the casual consumer's attention. So The Last of Us is probably going to end up going. Spider-Man, that's a big Marvel game. And we already saw their margins. They were single digit margins on a Marvel IP game. That's insane. And they spent $350 million on just one of those games, and they're seeing single digit margins. There's no way, especially with Disney, is probably, or how about you bring some Spider-Man games, or they're Disney's going to bring that pressure a little bit. I wouldn't even be surprised if Wolverine ends up becoming multi-platform. Maybe it might have like a 6 months to a year timed exclusive, but I wouldn't doubt that game is more than likely probably going to come to Xbox sooner or later. It's just really, really silly that people will try and misconstrue the facts so they could get cheap engagement, so they could cheerlead their favorite plastic box. This is a good thing for you as a consumer. It's an amazing thing. Play the games where you want to play your games. Spend your money in the ecosystem you want to spend in, and still be able to play some of the games that are available in other ecosystems. It's a win-win for you. Yeah, unless you own Sony stock or Microsoft stock, and even then, if you do, you should be cheering this, because I'm pretty sure their financials are going to go up, which means you make money either way. So I don't understand how you're going to make this such a bad negative thing when it benefits everybody that's there. Consoles aren't going away anytime soon. These platforms aren't going to go away because they're multi-platform. If anything, it's going to strengthen their position. It's just really silly just for these guys to come out and just cheerlead for a plastic box. Where we're done with that. Start playing these games that, these bangers that you guys consistently talk about. Start playing some of these games that you really want, that you want to see more of, because we're seeing in a time right now in the industry where people, studios are getting closed down because of closed ecosystems, because of those walled gardens, that they're not multi-platform, they're not making the money that they should. So you guys, bitch and moan every time, oh, they're closing down this studio, this is so horrible, but none of you bought the game. Maybe if they went on a different platform, they could have stayed open. Things like that. This is a win-win all around. I can't see a negative spin on any of this that would actually make sense.
You know what's interesting? I'm sure someone's going to hear the podcast and be like, Boom, you used to be a console exclusive guy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm considered the old guard in the community, right? I'm an old man. I liked exclusives. I thought exclusives did matter, but I'm here to tell you that with the change of the world, you either stay the same and get left behind, or you change. Silent Cypher, I want to get your thoughts on this, brother. This is a raging conversation, and it's a big one, but I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, going back to all of this conversation and like the walled garden side of things, the exclusivity, all that stuff, just touching on that too. Like, yeah, back at a certain time, I was a big fan of the first, of just having the exclusive stuff on the system. Like, it was cool. It was nice. But as I grew up, which all of us do to an extent, although if you look on social media, apparently a lot of us don't actually grow up. When you look at it, it makes business sense. And that's what these companies are concerned about, right? Like, Microsoft isn't concerned. Sony isn't concerned, definitely. And we know Nintendo's not concerned about your feelings. They're concerned about their bottom line. What makes business sense? It's the reason why Xbox is moving into all the different markets that they are. How can we make more money? We get more of you involved in our ecosystem. How can we do that? We'll make it so you can access Xbox on every single thing that you have as far as technology goes that's in your house. Again, like we joke about the stuff like the refrigerator, your mobile phone, your ROG Ally, your PC, everything can do it. If it has a browser, you have access. Nintendo is an interesting one. We talk about it all the time. I'm not a fan, but I get it. Still has its following. They're a unique one. They're like the unicorn, right? Where they can do all these things. They can make these decisions. They can keep it in a walled garden, and no one's concerned. Like everyone just follows along. Is like, yeah, Nintendo, you're doing such good work. We're so happy that you're, supporting this one system. And they never ask for the games to come to other systems. They don't critique it the same way that they critique Xbox or PlayStation. Something comes out to Xbox or whatever. It's like when Indiana Jones came out to Xbox. Or, well, but we gotta have it on PlayStation. Blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, cool. If you do that to Nintendo, Nintendo's like, that's nice. Hold my beer. Like you're still gonna buy my stuff. I'll sell you cardboard, and you'll willingly go buy the cardboard for $70 or $80 because that's what it is. Xbox and PlayStation can't do the same thing. There's a weird double standard there for some reason. It's agitating. But it's just like, I don't know. It was interesting to see all of the mental gymnastics that's happened recently with people being like, oh, well, PlayStation's not going third party anymore. No, this new document, it clearly states this, blah, blah, blah. Do you really think that after the success of something like Helldivers 2, in that first few days, you think that they're just going to say, no, wrap it up, boys. We're going back to first party exclusive again. It's going to be only in our walled garden. No, Sony has not seen the sales on software the way that they used to. And so how are they going to expand that out? They're going to continue to make it so their games are more accessible across other systems. You're going to see it on your Steams. You might eventually see more stuff on Xbox. It's not a big surprise. They want to make money. They're a company that wants to last. And if you want to stay around, you have to remain relevant. You have to get to your consumer. And it's no longer, the customer is not just the person in that walled garden. Now they can access the stuff on Steam, on Xbox, these different ecosystems. That's only a win for Sony, just like it was only a win for Xbox. When Xbox made it so you could start accessing these things all over the place, like when they moved over to PC back in the day, and everyone freaked out about it. It's like, yeah, okay. But guess what? The company saw where things were going. They realized that there's a set group of gamers that they'll only ever get access to if they stay in this walled garden. And so they said, what do we do? Let's open it up so that way we can actually access more people. We can get these games out there and we can make money off of these things. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about the money. They don't care about your feelings, whether it's still on your favorite plastic box. They want to make money. That's what they do. And it's like we're having a little bit of a chat in the or we're having a conversation in the chat about stuff like the handhelds and the concern about, oh, well, if the sales don't match up to what it is and what they want, then this thing's, it's going to just fail or whatever, and it's not going to benefit anyone. Like if ROG Ally releases this new system and it fails, then, like why would Microsoft support these different things, these incentives in the future? And it's like the Xbox UI wrapper that we've been released that can now be accessed and used on everything at this point in time. If you're in the Windows Insider program, you have access to this.
Yes, correct.
In the future, you're going to continue to have access to this. It doesn't matter if a piece of hardware fails. I don't think people are getting that. Is like, just if one handheld isn't selling well, that doesn't mean that Microsoft can't still use that wrapper for everything else. Moving forward, if the Ally failed horribly, which, like they had a lot of funding from Xbox, it seems like, based on this partnership.
Yep.
A lot of funding. If the ROG Ally comes out and it fails, that doesn't mean that this wrapper goes away. This thing is out in the open now. It's going to get iterated on.
It's the future of gaming, dude.
Again. Yeah. It's like you'll be able to use this anywhere and everywhere where it's an option with Windows. So if one system goes down, so be it. It is what it is. Like we see competition go out all the time, but we're going to continue to see more handhelds come out. We're going to see more stuff come out over time, and we're going to see people utilize this because, again, this wrapper is beneficial for us as gamers in the fact that if you use this UI wrapper, it actually frees up resources on the back end. So you get like an extra 2 gigs of RAM that otherwise would be locked up because of the processing in the background. So that's a benefit for developers. A developer would see something like that and be like, oh, this is good for me. And so they'll try and utilize that if they can. Like that's a good thing. And that's going to continue, and it's going to get utilized more as we go forward. But sorry, going back to them marketing this and being like, oh no, they're not doing their third party stuff anymore. It's all over. Like, come on, guys. Like realistically, we're going to see probably Returnal. There's been talks about that one coming.
Yep.
That's pretty likely at this point in time.
And can I just pop in for a second?
Sure,
Is that a single player game? Because I was told by a lot of the ponies out there, and the folks, let's be clear. I don't like using the terminology, but there's a difference between ponies who are toxic MFs and PlayStation players. There's a very big difference there. A very large gap between the two. PlayStation players are here to play games and enjoy their PlayStation because that is the console that they enjoy playing on. Zero wrong with that. The pony universe thinks that everything that if it's not Sony Blue, it's not good. And they're the toxic MFs of the community. And that's who I have an actual problem with. But I was told by the ponies that no, they're never going to send over a single player game. See, now every time there's been a change in Sony's ideology, it's because of something. Let's say, let me bring up some thoughts here. So when MLB came over to Xbox, it was because MLB forced the envelope, and that's the truth. That's why MLB is the one that publishes on Xbox, because they literally told PlayStation, look, you're not making enough money on one platform. We need this everywhere. And that's what they did. Okay, great. So when Kojima bought back the rights for his IP and it came over to Xbox, what was the excuse then? Oh, let me remind you folks. Oh, well, it's not really a PlayStation game going over because 505 Games is the one that's publishing it. And so that doesn't really count, right? And then when Helldivers was announced, and of course, all the panning I was reprieved from, it was like, well, it makes sense now, Boom, because it's a multiplayer game, and, well, it's a gas game, and it has microtransactions, so that makes sense for Sony, right? So now we've been hearing for the last couple of weeks, the next one is Returnal, which is, by the way, a single-player game, which they said would not come over. I wonder what the excuse is going to be there, Sound Cypher.
I wish that no, you know what? I don't wish I could get inside the mind of a pony because it sounds like a damning place to be. But I'm sure there's going to be some sort of excuse, and it's going to be stupid because it usually is. It's not about gaming for them. It's about standing on their little pedestal and having access to their thing, and no one else can have it. It's king syndrome. Oh, I can have all these things, but you don't get to have it. Like, whatever. Just shut up. Go play some games. But in response to that, right? Like the single player type of thing, I don't really care about what a pony's opinion is about why this thing's coming over. Let's look about it on the business end, right? Sony's sitting here and they're like, okay, well, we could make more money bringing other stuff. So let's go ahead and look at some of the stuff that we haven't done anything with for the last little bit. Oh yeah, Returnal. That thing's got dust growing on it right now.
And did it not sell well? Yeah, because it didn't sell well. It struggled to break 1 million sales.
It's shocking.
What if Silent Cypher that releases on Xbox? Because I didn't buy it on PlayStation. You know where I am going to buy it? On Xbox, because I put my money where my mouth is, unlike some others. Please continue, sir.
No, and it's a good point, right? Is like, this game, as it turns out, didn't sell super amazing. It didn't set the world on fire. It was just like how Death Stranding, like it did okay, but it did better once it got opened up to a PC market and then eventually Xbox. Why? Shocker. As soon as you put the game out so more people can access it, the game's going to sell better. Isn't that wild? Did someone miss math class when we were in school? Because if you add these numbers and then you put other numbers right with it, surprise, the number goes up. It's shocking. You're going to make more sales because you have access to this in other places. But guess what? It's not going to stop at Returnal. If they see that as a success, what else will they do? They'll be like, oh yeah, Days Gone. That thing's got like an inch of dust on it now at this point in time because we failed to do anything with it. We never released a sequel. But you know what? We could fudge out a remaster of this and kick it out to another system and probably make another 1 or 2 mil, right? It only makes sense for Sony, just like it makes sense for Xbox. If I have something that's here that's just sitting and could be making more money, then why the hell am I going to have it just sitting on the bookshelf? Why not release it to other people? And for Sony fans to be so bent out of shape on this right now and be like, well, no, they're changing their approach and blah, blah, blah. This is literally Sony's moment. This is their 4 games moment. It's just 4 games. No, it's just 4 games. Only 4 games are coming over. If you believe that, man, I've got some land to sell you out in the Pacific. Like, come on. Let's look at the history of the last few years. Just 4 games. Interesting. Just like Sony's like, well, it's just going to be multiplayer games. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. It depends. Does Sony want to make money or do they want to support you in your little walled garden? We'll see. But I think dollars to donuts on this. You're going to see single player games come over to Xbox, and whether they like it or not, Sony's going to make the moves that keeps them relevant for the future.
Yeah. So just before we bring in Fuzzy Velvet to get his final thoughts on this topic, I have some numbers in front of me. You know how I feel about numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I'm an evidence-based conversation kind of a podcaster. So I have some numbers, and interestingly enough, now it's going back a couple of years, but Returnal sold on PlayStation 5 866,000 copies, but they shipped 1 million, right? Additionally, when it was released on PC, they sold 162,000 copies of it. Now, I mean, whether you consider that to be a hit, we know the game was profitable because Sony told us in one of their financials that the game was profitable. So, but it didn't blow up the charts. 866,000 copies were sold on PlayStation. That's a little bit below 1 million. They did ship 1 million copies though. So I know some people are going to run with the ship thing rather than the actual sold thing. That's fine. But Fuzzy, both Korkenstein and Silent Cypher made some incredible points. But I have some additional context that I like to bring in. Again, I love being an evidence-based conversation kind of a podcaster. When Xbox decided to go full third party and start putting games regularly and bringing new games to PlayStation, we were at a crossroads where of the top 10 best-selling games, meaning money, games that sold and made money, at times, Xbox held 6 of those top 10 spots. Now, that may not be what's happening today, but it has been quite a few months. Whenever they released a game, it was in their top 10 best-selling, meaning most purchased game. Interestingly enough, focusing on now Sony making money, it turns out that when Helldivers 2 came out, it hit the number 1 and number 3 spots on Xbox Live for most purchased game. That means that Sony is making money. 70% of that money went to PlayStation. So with that success, how would Sony now decide, well, we made money? God damn it. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to shit the bed. So you know what? We're going to stop putting games on PC, and we're definitely not putting games on Xbox because, God damn it, that was a success. That is ultimately what it would sound like if somebody from PlayStation or one of these ponies would be talking out loud. And that is the most preposterous thing I've ever heard. They succeeded. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm one of the first YouTubers to give Sony their flowers, where I said multiple times with you on one of the other podcasts that I have a strong suspicion that if Sony were to release more games on Xbox, they would have the exact same success as Xbox on PlayStation. If they put a Spider-Man, a Days Gone, or Returnal, these games would be in the most paid for game on Xbox, meaning that they would be making money. So when someone says, well, they're not going to do that, you got to put them on the pay no mind list of stupidity, because that is ultimately what it is. Let's get your thoughts on this before we get on out of here. Break it down, bro.
Yeah, I remember seeing on social media a couple of people were starting to speculate that this was going to be a change in direction because of some wording changes on a recent report where they didn't break out the third-party sales from the regular sales. Let me ask you, when you go to the movie theater and they say they have Coke, do you only assume that they only have regular Coke, or is it to say that they no longer have Diet Coke, or I don't know, Coke Zero or Cherry Coke or anything? Like, they're starting to just list it as one thing because that's moving forward. Why break it out if now you're going to make more of an effort to put games everywhere? If third party was going to be this thing that they wanted to keep an eye on to see how well it was doing, now that they saw that it was doing well, they just list it as all sales. And then that way, whoever's in charge of the non-third party stuff, where some of their games aren't doing as well on their primary platform, they don't have to catch heat on it. It's like, hey, was it high tides lift all boats kind of thing? They just count it as one big pot of how they're looking at their sales of those games. So I can't explain enough to those that are, I guess, hesitant to believe that Sony would ever do this. We've heard arguments before of how Sony likes to copy, or they do a lot of the similar things to what Xbox has done in the past. And people always say, why would you follow, last place and blah, blah, blah. All right. How many of you have iPhones? For the same ones that say, why would you follow last place? For a while, they were in last place. And in the States, now worldwide, it's a different story, but in the States, they're now in first place. Why is that? Because they copied a lot of the stuff that Android was doing. Now, I used to be an Apple fan, but by, the 10th anniversary, I kind of fell off because of that whole Bert and Ernie eyebrow thing. I wasn't, that was something that Steve Jobs would never allow. So I don't like, that's not my Apple. Let's just put it that way. So if you're an Apple fan, just know that Apple copies a lot of other tech companies that are quote unquote behind them, or they don't like to be first on things because they like to sit back and wait and see how it goes. So since they saw that Xbox is putting their stuff third party and it's working for them, where, what was it, like 8 out of the top 20 games on their system were from Xbox Studios. I think they're like, you know what, we could do that same thing and get an extra revenue source, focusing more on PC, focusing more on the Switch, focusing more so on the Xbox Series consoles. And that's what they're going to do. Now, is everything going? Who knows? at some point, I would say a lot of the newer stuff will eventually go, and it may get to a point where day and date for PC, which I think is going to be sooner rather than later. We'll see if Wolverine is announced as PC and console day and date. I mean, it might as well be because it's already a PC exclusive, since you can, literally play it on PC right now. But we'll see how far they go as far as when they get to the day and date for PC. I think that's going to be a sooner, measure that you'll notice, and then at some point it'll go from, hey, this game comes over to Xbox a year later, or it comes over to Xbox in 6 months, 3 months, same day. Oh, it's a multiplayer game. Well, we'll see how that transition works. We've seen it with Microsoft. You're going to see the same thing with Sony. The I guess the stubborn ones are going to be Nintendo, but me personally, I think at some point they're going to look around and look at PC, and instead of suing all of these emulator companies, they're going to be like, you know what? If we put stuff on PC, we could get all of that money, and they like money. So we'll see how long it takes them to put stuff on PC. Now, I don't foresee them doing stuff on other consoles, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. I mean, they brought back the Virtual Boy, and you're going to make you pay $25 plus for the cardboard version of it. So the Labo stuff is back. But all in all, I expect Sony is going to continue putting stuff on other platforms. Will it be to the extent what we see Microsoft doing today? Maybe not for a year or two, but it will eventually happen. And considering their output isn't what it used to be, as far as having 4 of their own first-party titles in a year type of time, now it's down to like 1 or 2, and MLB being that one that's pretty much consistent. I think they're going to look for other avenues to help fund other, bigger titles. Like when you're spending $300 million on Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2, and it doesn't do as well as a game that may have cost $100 million, if that, when it comes to Helldivers 2. I think they're going to reevaluate a lot of things and look at how they can capitalize on making as much money as possible. Because at the end of the day, that's what a business is for, to make money. It's not to, cuddle your feelings as far as this plastic box and whatnot. It is about making money. So I would say if you're a PlayStation fan and you hate this move, just buy shares, because you'll benefit in the end when they start making more money from, expanding their player base. But who am I? I don't know. So that's all I got.
No, I mean, it's good points from everybody. Chat has been really lively, so thank you to the chat for getting involved. Look, I'll say this. Do I ever see, or at least for the foreseeable future, where you're going to get a day and date release of a PlayStation exclusive on Xbox? No, I do not. Do I think they're closer to potentially releasing one of their bigs day and date on PC? That I would say yes. And the reason why I say that is because look at the success from Helldivers 2. Now, upon release, we know that PlayStation players didn't buy as many copies or a significant amount of copies on PS5 versus Steam. And there was a reason for that. Steam's a massive, place to buy games. And they also play multiplayer games. So the success of Helldivers 2, if only focused on PlayStation 5, would have been considered a flop, would have been considered a failure. Now, they have sold over 5 million copies. That's significant. But that's also after a year being on the market. And from inception, it sold better and did better on Steam. So that success on it itself makes perfect business sense that for their next big one, whether it be multiplayer or not, it makes sense to release dual at least on PlayStation and PC. Will they do that? Well, I mean, if they like money, they probably will. And we see that who's running the company now, Nishino and Hiroki Totoki, they're the money folks. This is not being run by emotions. Companies cannot be run by emotions. They have to be run by the business aspect. And you can see the business is changing. So again, changing in wording, sure, but changing in ideology, not so much. So anybody taking victory laps, at least you're getting your cardio in, I guess. So there's that, but stop taking victory laps because you're ultimately embarrassing yourself. Because when Spider-Man comes over, and it's not if anymore, folks, it's when. There is going to be shock and awe. And I don't know. I know that we have a super chat here that I didn't even see the reasoning for Returnal, but there is a reason, ladies and gentlemen, according to the Pony universe. So we'll get to that in a second. But folks, I just want to say a big thank you for taking the time to check out today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed today's conversation enough to hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed and you appreciated the conversation that we had, please consider subscribing. If you are someone that watches the channel annually and you like the work that Mrs. Boom and I are doing here, there is something called a hype button. It is available on mobile. I believe it is available also on desktop. Folks, if you can press that button and again, folks, I don't know what this is going to do for the channel, but the more that we ask people to hit the hype button, the better algorithm this small show and platform can get into some of the bigger algorithms. I know that in order to get into the super large algorithms, you need to hit 300,000. We don't even have that many subs, so it's unlikely we're going to get there. But if you can help us with the hype button, it's something new that YouTube is trying for smaller content creators. We would be greatly appreciative of that. But let me catch up on super chats before we get to outros. We have a channel member chat here from Elementopio, who's been a channel member for, oh my God, 41 months. Brother, that is incredibly kind of you. He says, good morning and happy Friday, gents. Shout out to Sega for the awesome Shinobi. I'm taking my time with it, and it's glorious. Yeah, brother, I think that's going to be in the end of the year conversation. I actually bought it twice. I bought it once on Switch. I have the collector's edition that I got from Limited Run. They sent me the game, but the collector's edition is going to come, I think, next year. And I bought it on Xbox because I love Sega, I love Shinobi, and I want to support the dev. But thank you so much for that, brother. He also drops a very generous $5 super chat. And this is a great point. He says, do you think Token is coming soon to Xbox? It is a service fighter after all, right? And I say 100% it's coming over. Now, do I have that on confirmed authority? I do not. That's just my personal opinion. First of all, I am buying that game on PlayStation 5 the day it releases. That Marvel Token game is right up my alley. I'm actually going to go out and buy a new arcade stick for it, and I can't wait. Do I think that is... I mean, again, I don't know when it's releasing. I know it's going to be releasing hopefully soon. That's going to be a PlayStation exclusive for a while. It's Marvel. They have a deal with Marvel. But again, it is a service-based fighter. A service-based fighter, it runs in line with Sony putting service-based games on other platforms. So yes, PC, yes, Xbox. Switch, I don't know. But Xbox, I definitely see it coming over at some point. I just don't know when. Nino Vestic, our generous friend, all the way from Hawaii, has done what he's done many times before and has gifted one Double Barrel Gaming membership. We super appreciate the generosity. Aloha to you and the fam, brother. Thank you so much and have an awesome weekend. We appreciate the generosity. The Broke Boy drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the excuse for Returnal has already been stated, according to PlayStation Nation, aka the Ponies. It's not a tentpole PlayStation single-player game like Horizon, God of War, or Last of Us. It's an experimental title, as so it can go to Xbox. Brother, I didn't even see that, and whoever said that should just be... They should just cancel their social media accounts, get off the air, go play some games. That, to me, is goalpost moving in the worst way possible. Don't be like that person who said that. My God. But thank you, Broke Boy. We appreciate it very much. We also have Silent Cypher. Holy cow. Drops a very generous $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Silent. That's awesome of you. He says, Fuzzy Belvedere's new setup and camera is so sleek. Going to have to change his name to Clear or Sharp Belvedere. Right? I like that. That's a good one. Yeah, I can't wait to get our place, man. Whenever we find it, I'm going to have a studio built, and I cannot wait because I want the mic not sitting in front of me like this is. I cannot wait. Your setup looks dope, dude. Congratulations on that. Looks really good. We also have Scott Gamer Dude not dropping one $5 super chat. He drops two $5 super chat and says, hello, Boom. When your birthday show I hope I didn't miss your birthday. No, brother. Next Thursday. Thank you so much for the early birthday wishes. Like next Thursday, and let's see, it's going to be a really good month. Sonic is releasing on the 25th, which I have pre-ordered in Switch and of course Xbox. I also have the Tokyo Game Show, which I'm going to be covering that day, which is pretty dope. Forza Horizon 6 announcement potentially. And of course, at the end of the month, and we didn't even talk about this, and this has become my most anticipated game. Aliens Rogue Incursion Console Edition. Holy shit. That comes out on September 30th. A late birthday present, but a present nonetheless. And I'm look, I have it on VR. I never played it. I'm glad this is it's controller based. That game looks really good, and it's $30. And if you notice, it says part 1, meaning that means there's going to be additional parts of this thing. Yes, please. Scott Gamer Dude drops an additional, very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, hey, panel, can you guys recommend software mixer for PC? That's not my field. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
You could always use Rode Unify. If I think he's talking about for like content creation, there's Rode Unify. That's a virtual. I have a Rode Procaster here too, so I don't need the virtual, but Rode is a very solid company. So yeah, I would say Rode Unify. I think Mackie has one. Mackie, is it Mackie Matrix or something like that? Mackie's also, I think actually Rode did just buy Mackie anyways, so that's also in their ecosystem now possibly. But yeah, I think it's Mackie Matrix, I think, is another virtual one that you could use.
Nice. Real quick, shout out to Dave Reezy. He says that Fuzzy should be called 4K Belvedere. There you go. I love it. Shout out to Dave Reezy. Appreciate you being here, brother. Yeah, good morning to you as well. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Again, hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. To hit the like button, but let's get to the outros, and we'll start first with Corkenstein. Cork, listen, I know that your Corkenstein gaming is something that you're working on. That actually has a nice ring to it. I hope that is what you decide to go with, because it does have a nice ring, and I'd like to see you come back in a big way doing content creation, even if it's just solo with guests, or maybe you can partner with someone. Talk about it, brother. What you got going on with that? What you got going on with, of course, Game Pass Gumbo? Any new information there? And where could people follow you on social media?
Yeah, big thanks always to Boom, Fuzzy, or 4K, I guess now, and Silent, for you guys being awesome. Always love talking with you guys. To the chat as well for being always awesome, talking on the with us and stuff like that. Always being engaging, and it's very rare in the gaming space. You have such an awesome community that actually talks and discusses stuff. So big shout out to you guys out there. As for me, you can find me on the Corkenstein on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. Corkenstein Gaming. I'm still waiting to see what the guys want to do with the Xbox Talks channel. Like I said, it's kind of a sensitive matter because of everything that happened. So I kind of want to give that time, without being like, hey, I'm going to take over the channel, which I would never do. I want to make sure they're okay with it first. Game Pass Gumbo, I think we're going to try and knock out a show tomorrow to talk about Randy Pitchford and
the ridiculousness that he has put himself in. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean,
conversation.
It's a shame because Borderlands 4 is a really solid game. And
yes.
He's just ruining it. So yeah, we may talk about that tomorrow. Our co-host did just break his hand, sadly. So I got to see what's going on with that. I will be on Web Daves this Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys want to catch me on Web Dave, I will be on there this Sunday.
Good stuff, brother. Appreciate you being here. I don't understand. I mean, this is super late in the game, and I don't want to get into it. Jaffe Kane says it's a ROG ally with an Xbox sticker. Brother, if that's your thought and theory, good on you. I think you're ice skating uphill, and that's fine. Have your opinion, but you're wrong, ultimately. It's not a sticker. It's an actual button, which means it's part of the hardware. I don't know. I think you're ice skating uphill. And it's just ridiculousness. But Silent Cypher, let's get your thoughts. First of all, tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, what you got going on with the Xbox International Podcast, and of course, you're already celebrating Halloween, and it's still September. Good on you, kind sir. Talk about it.
Well, before I jump into that real quick, there might be some stickers on the box of the ROG Ally, but if you missed where it's literally got a button in there and the design of the system, like the etching, if you missed that and you still don't think it's an Xbox thing, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, look in the mirror. It's pretty obvious. But anyways, thank you guys for having me. As always, Boom. Thanks for humoring my shenanigans. It's been good hanging out with you guys. Fuzzy, I'll end up seeing you here in like a week or so. We'll end up doing some more horror podcasting. And Cork, it's good. We need to play some games again because it's been a little too long.
Yes, we do.
But besides that, yeah, of course, find me on social media. I'm Silent Cypher, kind of all over the place. Instagram, the other places, Threads. No Twitter. I'm avoiding that cesspit as much as possible right now.
It is.
It is an active dumpster fire, and yeah, I'm good. I'll just check out your guys' screenshots of the mayhem. I'm good. I'll just stand from a distance. Besides that, you probably
the binoculars as the island is burning like this,
dude.
Like, I'm not going there.
I'll be roasting my marshmallows over the corpses that are building, apparently, like of fanboys. That it's weird. I don't know, weird place. But yeah, you catch me playing some video games. Hopefully on Xbox. Add me as Silent Cypher if you decide you want to play some Helldivers or something, and we can get our schedule to align. Besides that, like I said, I'm working on finishing up my costume for Halloween.
Nice.
Because you got to plan ahead.
Yes.
And also, yeah, just looking forward to messing around with that. It got me really missing Friday the 13th, the game. It sounds like maybe we've got some new news coming in on that, and maybe there's a new game coming, or maybe a resurrection of this one potentially, but that's the early days. We'll see what happens. But no, chat, you guys were awesome, and we will see you here in another week or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Gamer by Choice pops in, drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, if people put in the physical effort for the mental gymnastics they perform for their beliefs, then humans would be in a better shape. Great show. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that the goalpost moving continues. Like I said, they must have super strong backs because the goalpost is consistent, and the goalpost is heavy, man. So I don't know how they're moving it solo, but yep, maybe they have that Incredible Hulk strength. Who knows? But so Fuzzy Belvedere, once again, amazing new setup. Great. You sound great. You look great. We're happy to have you here each and every Friday and Monday for that matter. Sell the brand, brother. No new podcast tonight with Fright Night with Ferocious V, but it is a program I'd like to see more people subscribe to because it is a horror-based live show that you do on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the missus. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow you guys on social media?
Well, as always, love doing this with you guys. Always love being on a podcast with Silent Cypher, Corkenstein, and yourself, Boom. Just talking about the industry, the games that are coming out, and there's a ton of them right now, which I got the Beast in the background, so I got to definitely dive into that afterwards. But, everybody out there, just focus on gaming. Don't worry about what a piece of plastic is called, but in general, there's a ton of games. There's a ton of devices. I encourage you to partake in it as much as your pockets will allow. But be responsible as far as don't go into debt getting these devices or games. There's plenty of services out there as far as whether it's Game Pass or PS Plus. Sign up with those and game at your own pace kind of thing. But have fun out there and do some gaming this weekend. But for those of you that are into horror, no podcast tonight, but there is a new episode on the channel where we interviewed Astro Paranormal. They're a paranormal investigation group. They are doing a event at I believe it's the Bennett Theater in Wilmington, Delaware. or Middletown, Delaware. So definitely check that out. If you've ever been a fan of paranormal activity type stuff, or just want to hear the insight from these groups that do those types of investigations, definitely check out the episode. I put the link in the chat. But other than that, everybody have a great weekend. Hope to see you guys here Monday for Xbox Lunch Break Special. And yeah, just get ready for Halloween. It's going to be a fun month next month.
Yeah, looking forward to that as well. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in for today's new episode of the Breakfast with Boom podcast. For Silent Cypher, Korkenstein, and Fuzzy Belvedere, we wish everyone a great weekend, a safe weekend, and enjoy gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming. And of course, we're going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And it would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice, to live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.